We're seeing Gatos Silver hit 52-week highs. So in this video, I want to do an analysis on the company to see if it's overbought or to see if it's still a good value at this price. Gatos Silver trades on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol GATO, and today it closed at $7.77, which is a 52-week high. The company owns 70% of the Cerro Los Gatos mine in Chihuahua, Mexico. The company has no debt. They have strong free cash flow. On a 100% basis, the company is going to be earning somewhere around $84 million a year in free cash flow. But this is on a 100% basis, and Gatos Silver owns 70% of it. So they get 70% of this free cash flow. And the company is backed by Tom Kaplan, who is one of the world's most successful mining financiers. So it's really great to have somebody who's had a lot of success in his career and really knows what he's doing, overseeing the whole thing. In addition to those things, the mine is highly profitable, producing silver at about an $11 per ounce all-in sustaining cost net of byproduct credits. So what does that mean? Well, the company produces some gold, some lead, some zinc. You take the sales from those things, you subtract it from the overall cost, and that leaves you with $11 per ounce silver. Something else I like about the company is that it has huge exploration upside. They are probably going to expand their resources a lot. Right now, the company is going to be producing about $84 million a year in free cash flow through approximately 2030. And as of right now, that's when their life of mine ends. But because there's so much exploration upside, it's probably safe to assume that the mine will continue operating much longer than that. And another thing I like about the company is that more than 60% of their revenue comes from silver. A lot of these companies that claim to be silver miners actually only have a very small percentage of their revenue coming from silver. A lot of them are around the 20% mark. To have 60% of your revenue coming from silver gives you tremendous leverage to the upside if silver prices were to run. So these are some of the good things that I see about Gatos Silver. But before I talk about valuations, I want to talk about a couple of the risks that I see. The first big risk for Gatos Silver is that they have just that one producing asset. They have no diversification. So if something happens to that asset, the company is going to get destroyed. And another big risk that I see is that the mine that they have is located in Mexico. And in my opinion, Mexico today in 2024 is a really bad location for a mine. Now, there's a couple good things about it. Number one is that Mexico has a long mining history. What that means is there's infrastructure for mining, there's suppliers. If something goes wrong at your mine, you can probably get it fixed pretty quickly. Things like that help out a lot. And because there's a rich mining history in Mexico, there's a lot of people who have worked at mines before. So you can get that skilled labor here pretty easily. I've actually been living in Mexico for about 6 years, and my wife is Mexican. She was born and raised here. So I want to give you an overview on why I'm so negative on mining in Mexico. But first, let's just look at a few of the companies who are operating in Mexico. You have Fortuna's San Jose mine in Oaxaca. That mine has been an absolute nightmare for them. They've had problems with shutdowns. They've had problems with the government not issuing permits and reneging on permits and having to go through court processes over and over and over again. Thank goodness there's a decent court system in Mexico that has helped Fortuna get through that. But that mine has been an absolute nightmare for them. And then you have Equinox's Los Filos mine in the state of Guerrero. That mine was shut down for quite a while. There's serious security issues around that mine as well. And in addition to that, they have a bunch of these different local communities who are kind of fighting, and they all want a bigger portion of the mine's profitability. And because of everything that's going on there, Equinox has made no money on that mine, despite it producing more than 200,000 ounces of gold a year. And then you have Newmont's Peñasquito mine in Zacatecas. That mine has been a nightmare for them as well. That mine got shut down for a while due to a labor dispute. Just lots and lots of problems with various operators who have mines in Mexico. And now let's talk about a series of reasons why there's so many problems with mining in Mexico. Number one is it starts at the top. The current president is basically a communist. The president always serves one 6-year term here, so he cannot be reelected, but the person who's probably going to get elected this year in 2024 comes from the same party as the current president. This president and administration have been very anti-mining. They've been denying permits pretty much any chance they get. They're now trying to ban open pit mining. They nationalized lithium deposits. They nationalized a sea salt deposit just a few days ago. It's not about mining, but they nationalized a bunch of land on the Yucatan Peninsula to build the Mayan train. And now they're not just saying, hey, this land is now ours or this mine is now ours. They are paying something, but they're paying way below market value. For example, I was talking to a friend of mine who knows somebody who had their land nationalized on the Yucatan Peninsula so they could build the Mayan train, and the Mexican government paid about 1/3 of that land's value. And there was no negotiation. They couldn't do anything about it. They're just like, here's a check, we're taking your land. And in addition to that, the Mexican government recently nationalized a bunch more power plants as well. Lots of nationalization going on. It seems that this president wants to have every industry under the control of the Mexican government, which is why I call him a communist. Throughout Mexico, the Mexican people are very proud. They're very proud of their nation. They're very proud of being Mexican, and they're proud of doing stuff on their own. And this translates into the average person being very anti-foreign investment. And in addition to that, the average Mexican is highly nationalistic. The average Mexican believes that the natural resources in Mexico belongs to the country and belongs to the people. You'll hear a phrase a lot when living here, when on the social media that Mexicans frequent, that Mexico is for Mexicans. There is a very significant portion of the population who don't want foreigners here at all. And a lot of these people do not want foreigners profiting from natural resources in Mexico. So because of this highly nationalistic and Mexico is for Mexicans attitude, if the local people aren't getting almost all of the benefit from the mine, well, then it is not uncommon for them to shut the mine down through protest. And there's a subset of the population here who loves to protest, and they'll protest anything. So that's a big reason why you see mines shut down so often in Mexico. Whether it's over a labor dispute or the local community feels like they're not seeing enough of the profits from the mine, or they want a bigger and bigger profit share from the mine, a lot of the companies who operate mines in Mexico are really, really struggling to maintain profitability. Now, of course, not every Mexican is like this. This is very much a generalization, but I hope it gives you a pretty good overview of why it's so hard to maintain a profitable mining operation in Mexico. And because of all of this, if I were to invest in a company in Mexico or who has a significant portion of their revenue coming from Mexico, in this case it's 100% of the revenue, I would want to see the market giving a substantial discount to take all of this additional risk. So with that said, let's take a look at the valuations of Gatos Silver to see if that discount is big enough to warrant buying the stock. At a stock price of $7.77, the current market cap is $532 million, but Gatos Silver has net cash of $45 million. So you subtract out the cash and the market is valuing the rest of the company at $487 million. I mentioned earlier that the Cerro Los Gatos mine is going to be making about $84 million per year in free cash flow. But remember, Gatos Silver only owns 70% of the mine. So their 70% portion is $58.8 million a year, which puts the free cash flow multiplier at 8.3 times, and that's using this number, not the market cap. So an 8.3 times cash flow multiplier, considering the mine is scheduled to only operate until 2030, I think this is way too high, but let's look at it on a price to NAV basis. And the net asset value of this mine at today's prices is about $500 million. And that's the NPV5, the net present value with a 5% discount rate. So Gatos Silver, 70% portion is $350 million, which would mean that it's trading at 1.39 times NAV. That is really, really high, especially considering it's only a 5% discount rate. A 5% discount rate is way too low, in my opinion. I think we should be using at least an 8 or a 10% discount rate. And I mentioned earlier that this mine has significant exploration upside. So, in all likelihood, the mine life will extend much further than 2030. And in addition to that, they'll probably end up expanding the processing facility, but that will take an investment. They'll have to spend a bunch of money to expand that facility. But clearly, the market is already pricing in a ton of growth. And in addition to this, they only have the one asset. So if something happens to the one asset, the company is going to get destroyed. Now, I'd feel much more comfortable with a company operating in Mexico if they had multiple mines, even if they were all in Mexico, because at least it diversifies the risk. Because the risk in Mexico isn't always at a national level. A lot of times it's at the local level. So, for example, you have a few silver producers in Mexico who are one asset companies. You have MAG, you have Gatos Silver, you have Silvercrest. I'd love to see all three of those companies merge. Then they'd at least have some diversification within Mexico. So, based on this, the market is betting that the NAV of this company is going to expand a lot as Gatos Silver continues doing more and more drilling. And you know what? It probably will, but the NAV has to get a whole heck of a lot bigger to even be trading at 1 times NAV. There's a lot of companies in the market today who are trading at 0.7 times NAV, 0.5 times NAV, 0.3 times NAV, and a lot of those companies have significant exploration upside as well. So although overall it is a good company, great cash flows, great mine with great margins, a good proven management team, yeah, it has a lot of positives going for it. But in my opinion, this is way too expensive, and I would be selling here for sure. But that isn't to say that the stock price won't go a whole heck of a lot higher if silver runs. Because if the price of silver runs, all of these silver companies are going to go crazy. All the stock prices of the silver companies are going to go crazy because there's so few of them. But I think there's better ways to play the silver market than Gatos Silver. So this would not be a buy for me today. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel and next watch this video. It's an analysis that I did on Sandstorm Gold.